to Mindful Flow this evening. This week, it's June, it's the start of summer. If you're watching this on a recorded version later on, who knows when it is that you may be watching this, but right now for us live as I'm making this recording, it is summertime and June, and I decided to start a series beginning tonight of going kind of back to basics, back to school on some of the postures. So we're going to take one different one in each class. So I wanted to start my recorded series tonight as well, so that some of these could be up on the web, and if you wanted to revisit or take a look at one at a time later on, then they would be there for you to review and enjoy. So tonight, the first posture that we're going to be looking at and examining a little closer is one that we do in every single class. Just about every single class, we begin in what I'm doing now, which is Sukhasana. And Sukhasana, Sukha is the root, the Sanskrit root, which means easy or ease. And a lot of times I have students say, well, it's not easy to me. It may be easy for everyone else, but it's not the one that I find to be easy. And it's just a reminder that, as we begin to look at individual asana, there is a designation that is kind of the base and the fundamental understanding of what the posture is meant to be. But beyond that, I always want to help us explore variations that allow each of us to really feel at home in every posture, or to be able to find access to it. And that doesn't mean every single one of them are going to work out that way, but as we look at these variations, it just may be that a slight variation of a posture makes all the difference to you. So I want to be sure that we take the time to do that as I progress through this series this summer. So for this first one, Sukhasana, or easy pose, a reminder that Sukhasana is one of the poses that was originally associated with the practice of yoga as a means for meditation. So this is a meditation seat. And as were all of the original postures back in the ancient tradition, they were meant to be ways of aligning the body so that you could let go and drop in and sort of out of your physical body and allow the higher sense of yoga to take place. So they are meant to be easy. They are meant to help us find a way to create ease so that the mind and spirit can do the work within. So in Sukhasana, basically, as you know, it's pretty common. We've been doing this pose probably since we were all kids, just crossing the legs, sitting down in your seat. But just a few alignment points to keep in mind. First of all, because it is a sitting pose, we have the sitting bones pressing down into the mat. And that's our seat of grounding. So the sitting bones are the two knobby bones just at the base of the pelvis. And when you kind of wiggle back and forth, you kind of feel what part of that pelvis is really making connection to the mat. Those are the sitting bones. And then, of course, the legs can drop down. Sometimes your shins are on the mat. Your knees may be up here, or they may be out. But here's where we're building the fundamental base. What I would say right away is, if you typically sit up on a blanket, as I am doing here, you might just take that blanket away for just a minute and remove the blanket from the seat. And like I said, you can play along with this. You can come along and sort of feel into these different variations. When you take the blanket away from the seat, all of a sudden you feel a sense of the sitting bones rolling slightly backward. So part of that is just the natural anatomy of your pelvis. It's going to roll slightly backwards. What this does is tilt the pelvis slightly forward. So the pubic bone and the forward part of the pelvis tilts up. The legs tend to rise up a little bit higher, and we're creating a tiny bit more of a rounded situation in the lower back. And I don't know if you can tell it even just from the first few seconds of trying this without any support or any seat, but already I feel a little strain in that lower back. Whereas if I were to sit here for a long period of time, I'll bet that that might become fairly painful. And when you think about what happens then, well, we tend to start to slump. We counteract that by letting everything kind of round forward. And when you think about little children sitting in this seat for a long period of time, here's what happens. You're just kind of letting everything collapse, and this is not what we want at all. So with that mild demonstration of what the blanket is meant to do, when you bring yourself on the blanket or a meditation cushion or anything else that you might be sitting on, you want to kind of situate it so the sitting bones are right at the edge of the blanket. So not further back necessarily, but kind of at the edge of the blanket. And then as soon as you do that, the legs tend to roll forward, the pelvis rocks forward, and you immediately feel a sense of the lower back stacking and creating more support in the lumbar spine. So even just an inch or so of that blanket can make a lot of difference. With that, having said that, sometimes that's not quite enough, and perhaps you may still have some issues with feeling that the hips are too tight or the knees aren't dropping down. This is where you can then bring in something that's even higher. You can stack more blankets. You can fold the blanket so it's even higher than just a low fold. But if you're sitting up on a pillow or a stacked blanket and you've got several inches, then you really have the situation where the pelvis is dropping forward, the knees drop forward and down, and all of a sudden that starts to feel even a little better. So I just think it's really worth exploring where you can find that sense of ease in Sukhasana, because to me this feels pretty darn good, and I feel like I could probably maintain this for a lot longer. Now I just want to show you one other little variation that may or may not feel good to you. And so again, if you're watching this later, or those of you who are with me live, if you have a blanket sometime, you can take a blanket and you can fold it so that it's kind of nice and long like this. So long and narrow. And I'll give you a second just to fold it so you've got kind of a long, there's no magic length that has to be, just kind of a long narrow fold. It can even kind of be bunched up. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then when you're sitting up on either a blanket or maybe a cushion, as I am here, what you're going to do is lift your knees up. I'm going to turn back kind of diagonally so you can see. You're going to lift your knees up. You're going to take that blanket and bring it around your ankles, and then just roll it and just kind of shove it under the legs like so. And then let your legs drop down. So what this is doing is it's creating a support for the legs and knees. And when I did this in my live class today with about a dozen people in class, I could just see this wow, aha moment where this felt really nice, because you're giving your legs some support. Those knees aren't dropping out quite so intensely. Gravity doesn't have the same effect of kind of cranking the hips open and pulling them down. And all of a sudden, You're sitting up here on this nice little comfy throne seat, and yet, as comfy as this is, you've still created the support for the spine and the pelvis. And so it's that magic combination of creating good alignment and also creating ease. So if this feels good to you and you want to just hang here and try this one out for today, or you can create any of the other variations you like, we are going to sit in Sukhasana as our opening posture, just as we always do. And just remember that anytime we begin a class, if you have these props or you have these ways of creating the variations, then just dip in. Find the one that you really like, because that's really what it's about. All right, so starting to feel into Sukhasana, let's take a deep breath in, open the lungs, spread the air through the lungs, and then let the eyes gently close. Let your shoulders drop down. And as always, let's begin to build in our mind's eye the base of support for this posture, which is this seat. Whether you're sitting on the mat, a blanket, a pillow, or a bolster, notice how your sits bones are anchoring the rest of your body. And now, with this idea in mind, you can begin to feel the spine lift up and lengthen, and bring your awareness to the stair step of your spine, almost like you could walk up each of the vertebrae one at a time until the awareness comes all the way to the base of the head. And then again, maybe let those shoulders drop down a little bit more, soften your jaw. And with the rest of the body in this perfect alignment with head over heart and heart over pelvis, feel the crown of your head beginning to drift up. Make sure that you're feeling equally anchored from side to side, front to back. You can always shift your weight a little bit back or shift it a little forward, and make sure that you feel extremely centered. With your hands resting on your lap, your palms can be down or your fingers can be curling up. Let's just take a few breaths here in the pose of ease, Sukhasana. Centering ourselves for our practice, letting other thoughts of the day start to drift away. Just feeling calm and settled and supported. All right, let's take 3 more breaths here. All right, last one. Inhale. Exhale, slowly let it out. Very nice. And then you can open your eyes. And we'll begin to remove whatever props or supports you may have had in place. And just press those off of your mat, and we'll begin to stretch and move a little bit. So let's Open the legs out and let them extend down the mat, coming to a seated posture. Dandasana to begin. Awareness of those same sitting bones now, pressing down into the mat. And once again, head over heart, heart over pelvis. A nice aligned energy flow from top to bottom. Bring your fingertips gently to the mat on either side of your hips. Relax your shoulders down. Take a breath in, flex through the feet. Your legs are active in this pose. One more breath. And then bring your hands forward, lift them up, stretch in both sides, ribs opening up to the ceiling, and then exhale, forward fold, bringing the hands down on either side of the legs, shins, calves, stretching your heart forward and feeling a nice stretch in the lower back. Stay here for 2 more full breaths. Again, feet are still active and flexed. Your legs are engaged. Exhale. And then go ahead and roll your back up. So allow it to round as you lift up. Loop the shoulders up and back. And then go ahead and bend your right knee. Cross the right foot over your left leg. Lift up. Find that length in the spine once again. Hug your knee into the chest. Take your left arm around the knee, and we're not going to do a twist. We're just going to feel the internal rotation of the hips. So I'm just going to pull that right leg in toward my heart. And then release the right leg down. Let's do the same with the left. Just crossing it over. This is a nice little counter stretch to the Sukhasana because those hips are now being gently pulled toward the midline of the body. So inhale. Exhale. And then let them go. Bring both feet to the mat. We're going to press up onto our feet. If you have blocks nearby, and hopefully you do, bring your hands to your blocks. Sit up on your heels. Take a little toe balance here. Stretching the toes. Lifting up through the spine once again, nice and tall. Hands just gently on the blocks. Pulling in through the navel. Feel yourself centered and really locking down the core to create some balance. And then perhaps if you feel balanced enough, you can take one hand over your heart, take the other hand on top, breathe into your heart space. One more full breath in and out of the heart. Exhale, bring your hands down to those blocks. Lift your seat up and take it to a forward fold, letting your head drop forward, softening your knees as much as you need. Give your head a couple of yes/no shakes. Let it bobble around. Just relax. Maybe sway from side to side if that feels good too. And then we're going to rise all the way to the top. So bring your arms out to the side, lift them up, bring them overhead, reach and extend. Hands up toward the sky, reaching with your right arm just a little bit more to the left. And then reaching with the left arm slightly over to the right. Reach both arms up and then exhale again and fold. From this folded position, we're going to bring the knees back down to the mat and come to tabletop. From tabletop, let's get a little mobility and warm up in the spine by tilting first the pelvis backwards so that we take a back bend and let the heart reach forward, belly drops down, chin reaches forward toward the front of the mat. And then exhale, tilt the pelvis forward, let your back roll and round way up to the sky. Inhale, scoop with your breath, come into cow. Exhale, move that energy out with cat stretch. And one more full time all the way through. And exhale. Inhale and come back to table position. Pivot on your right knee and bring your right foot all the way off the mat. Right palm comes down on the mat. Open up your chest into stargazer pose. Left fingers reaching up. Let your neck carry forward. Your right arm is strong, feeling yourself grounded through the palm of the hand. If you'd like, you can lift that left foot up and press through the heel. If you would prefer to keep it down, that's okay as well. How are you feeling today? Find the variation that works for you. Bring the hand and the foot down, come back to table position. Take a series of cat-cows again. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Take to cow. And to cat. And 3 times, so one more full round. Back to all fours position. Pivot on your left knee, and let's take stargazer to the other side now. Opening the chest, letting the right arm float up, grab hold of a cloud. Feel your ribs spreading, and if you want to lift that right leg up, you can press it toward the back of the mat. And bring the right hand down. Come back to tabletop position. Go ahead and press back to child's pose. Let your hips sink all the way back to your heels. Let everything round forward and release and relax. Take a full breath here. Come up to hands and knees position once again. And then bring your right foot forward. Starting off in a runner's lunge, right foot forward, lifting that left knee up off of the mat. Blocks are here to support and help to engage and lengthen your lunge position. I always find them very helpful for a runner's lunge. Full breath here. Exhale and then lower the left knee down. Let your arms reach forward and up. Come to low crescent. Bring your right arm down by your side and then carry it behind your back. Back of the hand is placed on your lower back. And then take your left arm over your ear. Gaze over your right shoulder. Breathe here. And then see if you can take those left fingertips and reach down toward your right shoulder top. So this is just more of a stretch into the left tricep. A lot going on here, so make sure you feel supported. And then bring both arms back up. Exhale, hands down to the mat or blocks. Straighten your right leg and press back, bowing down over the right leg, Hanumanasana, half splits. Rolling back over the heel, the toes are pressed up, so your right foot is flexed. Breathe here and press back into that right hip. If you like, you can take that right leg and point the toes slightly to the right side of your mat. And you may get a very different sensation down the right leg if that's too much or doesn't feel good. It's okay. These are all just things to try. All right, point the toes forward once again. Come back up to the front of the mat. Place your hands on your blocks. And then all we're going to do is slightly push that right knee forward. So generally speaking, I usually say to keep the knee over the ankle, but what I'm going to say is push that right knee a little bit more forward than usual, stretching a little bit more into the left leg, and then maybe lift the left toes up off of the mat. If that is too much of a stretch and you're just like, nope, that's not working, it's okay. Keep that left leg down. Go ahead and bring the toes back down to the mat. Lift the left knee back up and step forward into forward fold. Rise all the way to the top. Reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, dive forward and fold once again. Walk the feet backwards, take downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lifting the hips high, breathing into the full line of energy of your body. Up and down the spine. Take 3 full breaths here, so 2 more. One more deep breath. Exhale. Rock forward into a plank position. Hold this for a breath, pressing the earth away and feeling the lift between the shoulder blades, strong belly pulling in, and then let the knees come down. Once again, press back to child's pose. Release all the way down. Deep breath in, replenish your energy, nourish. Beautiful. Come on back up to hands and knees position and take the left foot forward. Begin once again in low runner's lunge. Lengthen your head forward, lift that right thigh up, feel strong and steady. Full breath in, exhale, and then we're going to drop the right knee down, just gently lower it to the mat. Lift your arms forward, scooping forward, reaching up, come to low crescent. And then your left hand is going to float down by your side and then rotate all the way around to the back on your lower back. Take your left arm over the ear, your right arm, long arm. Take your right arm over the ear. And then see if you can take those right fingertips and maybe reach for your left shoulder, or at least that direction. Feeling that stretch in the right tricep and underneath the armpit. Look down over your left shoulder. Release your hands, bring them back up at the top. Inhale and exhale. Hands back down to the blocks. Pushing back into the hips, straighten that left leg and press into your half splits. Bowing down over the left leg. Your hands can stay on blocks. They can walk backwards if you like. Just feel what you need in that left hip. Oh, this is such a great stretch for sciatica or any kind of SI pain or discomfort. And then if you want to try that little change like we did on the other side, you can rotate your heel, just point your toes slightly to the left side. Just a little bit of a variation. See how that feels. Give it a try. All right, bring the toes back up to the center. Walk your hands forward once again. And as we did before, just shift that left knee a little bit more forward than we had it before, almost like it's coming out over your toes. Now, generally speaking, I usually say to keep the knee over the ankle for support, but we've got this. We've got our hands on the blocks. We're not putting too much undue pressure on the knee, so it should be fine. And if you want to see if you can lift the right toes up, just try it out. Some days it's good for me and some days it's not. That's okay. All right, bring it down if you tried it with up. And then lift the right knee back up, step forward, come to forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise all the way up, reach the arms overhead. And this time, fold forward again. Walk your feet back. Let's take downward facing dog. Stretch up and down the spine. 3 breaths here, full replenishment. Move that energy, clear your channels. Get rid of any tension or stress from the day. Just let it out. Nice. Come forward once again to a plank position. Pause here for a breath. Building strength, lifting up through the core. And then let your knees drop down and press back again to child's pose. 3 full breaths. Reset. Rebalance your energy. And knees. Lift up to downward facing dog once again. From downward dog, walk up to the front of your mat, come to forward fold, Uttanasana. Take a breath in Uttanasana, remembering that even in this forward fold, we're still lifting up through the belly, holding us steady at the core. And then hinge up, reaching the arms overhead. Take it to Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale, hands are going to come down by your side, Tadasana or mountain pose. From this standing position, we're going to step back with the left foot into Warrior One. So step the left foot back, right knee forward, arms rise up. From your Warrior One, we're going to take a gentle grasp of each elbow, each hand grabbing the alternate elbow and gently opening up under the armpits again so that the breastbone can rise up and forward. Chin is at a 45-degree angle, so you're looking up over the horizon. Deep breath in. Exhale. Release your elbows. Bring your hands forward. And we're going to fly gracefully into Warrior Three by bringing the weight onto the right leg, letting your left leg float up behind, reaching, balancing, holding steady at the core. Bring Remembering that the blocks are down there if you'd like to take a supported version. Bring the left leg down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale into chair pose, Utkatasana. Sitting down into your chair, lengthening the tailbone down, gazing between your hands. And then inhale, stand up in your chair once again and fold forward. From this forward fold, lift back up all the way. Reach your arms overhead. And then take your hands down by your side. Pause for a breath in Tadasana, mountain pose. From mountain, we will step back with the right foot this time, taking warrior one, right foot back, left foot forward. Arms rise up. Open your heart. Be a valiant, open-hearted warrior. And then once you've settled into your feet and you feel your foundation strong, once again, grab hold of your elbows. Just a light tug on the elbows to help open up under those armpits. This is great for the lymphatic system. It's a wonderful immune posture. Breathe. And then you can let go of the elbows. We're going to bring the arms forward. We're going to fly into our flying warrior, opening the right leg behind this warrior three posture. Taking the balance. Breathe. Or those hands can come down. Remember, you have options. Bring the right leg down. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, sit down into chair pose again, bending your knees, sitting back in the chair, holding everything into the center. Rise up out of your chair, and then exhale, dive forward and fold. Step back to downward facing dog. Full breath in, exhale, come forward to plank. And from plank position, we're going to go all the way down to the floor so you can drop your knees and go down to the belly. Bring your hands forward, moving into Sphinx pose. Both forearms are down on the floor. Separate your feet and press the tops of the feet down into the mat. Lift up through your heart. Let your lower abdominals anchor your body as the heart rises up. You're taking a slight back bend, of course, in your back, but your head is nice and long, so it's reaching forward, not cranking your head back, but creating one long, beautiful line up through the base of the skull. Now we'll see if you can refine this pose a little bit, pushing the shoulders away from the ears, lengthening out of your neck, staying strong in the core. Breath here. Let yourself come down out of this position. Press down into your hands and up into a tabletop. Immediately going right into a strong cat stretch. So really arch your back up as high as it'll go. Pelvis tilting forward. Head is dropping down. Separate your shoulder blades and really feel yourself lifting up. And We're going to walk the hands backwards toward the knees, keeping that cat stretch in place. We're going to transition now to hare pose. So you're pressing into that upper back. It's still lifted and rounded. And then you'll start to bend your elbows, letting your head drop down toward the mat. Releasing it inch by inch until you can feel the top of your head just tickling over the top of the mat. Pause here, still pressing up and opening the upper back. Breathe into all the space up and down the vertebra. Start to lift back up. Walk your hands back up to table position. Come out of it. Come to a neutral spine. And we're going to swing the legs around and come to a seat. So now we are going to come into a twist called Ardha Matsyendrasana. We're going to start with the left leg bent and bring the left foot next to the right hip. So bend that, bring the foot over next to the right hip. And then your right foot is either going to come in front of your knee or you're going to cross it all the way over, depending on how much you're able or what feels right to you to kind of bring yourself into this twist. So don't feel like you have to bring that foot all the way over. You can keep it in front as well. Key here is to lift up and find length. Head over heart, heart over pelvis. Lift up through your spine. And then wrap that left arm around. Take your right hand behind. Press down into the fingertips so that you can press up and feel that length start to offer you space. Shifting your pelvis to the right. And then turning into the rib cage. And perhaps rolling all the way up so that you look over your right shoulder. Excuse me. Stay here for a couple more breaths, continuing to lift the energy up out the top of your head. And then let's turn everything back to the center and take that twist to the other side. We're going to tuck the right foot in this time, next to the left hip. Cross the left foot over. Lift up as tall as you can. Right arm wraps around. Left fingers come behind the small of the back. Press down into those fingers and then shift, starting with the pelvis. Rolling the ribs and then eventually turning the head and neck. Squeeze. Keep the breath flowing freely. One more breath here. And then come back around to the front. Unwind the legs. And we're going to start to cool down by rolling all the way down to our back. So let's roll down. Just let both feet stand on the mat for a moment. Let your lower back release. Let's go ahead and cross the right ankle over the left thigh. And then lift your left foot up, holding on behind the left thigh. We're going to lift the foot up to the ceiling so that your legs are creating a number 4 shape. Pushing the left foot up toward the sky, point and flex your left foot. So just point and flex, squeezing into the arch of the foot and stretching it open. Just go nice and slow. See where you need a little bit more stretch. Maybe you can feel it into the Achilles or the calf muscle. And then just start to create some circles with the toe, circling the ankle around. And then bring that left foot down all the way to the mat. Open your arms into a T off the shoulder and roll over on your left hip. So we're just letting the legs roll to the left. Guiding your right foot down toward the floor. If it doesn't want to come all the way down, you can put a block or something else underneath it, so that you can find a relaxing point. And then turn your right ear toward its shoulder. Bring your head back up to center. Help yourself roll to the center of the mat once again. Uncross the right foot. Place it on the mat. And then let's take that to the other side. First crossing the ankle over the thigh and then lifting the right foot up to the ceiling. Press through the heel. And then point and flex the foot. Point and flex. Squeeze into the arch of your foot and then open it up. And then go ahead and circle that foot around. Create some circles with the big toe. You may feel a few little pops and clicks. That is normal. Just little gas bubbles that get trapped in the joints. That's all that is. And nice. Then we'll bring the right foot all the way down. Once again, open your arms into a T off the shoulder. Keep them there to anchor you. And just roll onto your right hip, guiding your left foot all the way down to the floor. Once it's touched down, let everything go. And if you wish, you can allow your left ear to drop to the side. Head back up to center. Roll back to your back, uncross your legs. Let's go ahead and extend both legs all the way down. Let's lift the arms over the head. Take one long morning stretch. Even though it's evening, we're going to call it a morning stretch. Fingers to toes, stretching and reaching. Inhale. bring your hands down by your side and find a completely neutral resting position. Really just putting your body in neutral, just like when you put a car in neutral. There's no gears. There's nothing to stop or start it. It's just in limbo. So we're going to relax for just a few minutes for our Shavasana. This is always a nice time to just take a moment to reflect on how you've integrated this practice through the body, where you feel open or perhaps more vibrant or warm or loose. Relax and let it all go. energy back into the body. Smile into yourself. Good about your practice and ending this day. Wonderful gift. If you're ready, you can bend your knees. Help yourself to seated position once again. Take your time. And we'll find ourselves once again in our pose of ease, Sukhasana. Together we can lift our arms up, reach them overhead. Breathe deeply into this space, the peace in our heart, and connect deeply to our center. The light in me is honored and grateful for the light within you all. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Om Shanti. Namaste.